In 2024, Planet Zoo will probably have a console edition releasing, or at least announced, probably in spring of 2024, along with most likely one new DLC, because we have confirmed in one of the financial reports that was released recently that we will have at least one more DLC for Planet Zoo, and I'm assuming that this will be one DLC, and then we get a console announcement and then release, and that will be it for Planet Zoo support, sadly. So, today we are going to be doing the top 5 animals or the animal groups that would be most beneficial to the Planet Zoo roster. Now, this is not going to be based on the meta wish list. This is not going to be based on my own thoughts that heavily. I'm basing it off of looking at the roster of animals in the game and seeing what major gaps are missing. What animals are we missing that would be like ABC animals, like generic animals that are still not in the game. It would add a lot to the game's roster in terms of variety, in terms of diversity, in terms of everything. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Coming at number 5, we have any species of African landbird. African landbirds come in a variety of different animals. You have, in general, I think recently birds have become more popular because we've had the swan, and we've had the kiwi, and the little penguin. We've now had 3 birds lately in the past 2 packs, so I think maybe they're trying to get more comfortable with birds. Maybe we could be looking at an all-bird expansion, but that's not really the point of this video. What I wanted to address is that Africa still has a lot of birds that we don't have that are really unique. I feel like people tend to skip over Africa because Africa got a lot of support in 2023. But the one thing that we didn't touch on in Africa was birds. You have the secretary bird, which, keep in mind, is number 1, I think, on the meta wish list. You have guinea fowls, southern ground hornbills, which are my personal favorites because, you know, those are amazing. You also have things like marabou storks, the gray crowned crane, which I also believe is pretty high up in the meta wish list. You have, what's the other one I'm thinking of? I think there's also probably a pelican species, which we'll bring up probably later on, maybe, I don't know, foreshadowing. Oh yeah, and the shoebill. There are so many different so many different birds from Africa that would be so cool to have. Some of them may need new rigs, like the secretary bird or the ground hornbill. So I don't know how much work those new birds would need, but I think that in terms of adding more to the roster, especially in people's Africa sections, people really don't have a lot when it comes to the African areas. I think they have flamingos. What else? Oh, of course, we have African penguins and stuff like that. But how cool would it be if we had the secretary bird or a hornbill or something like that? The hornbill definitely would be my favorite because it's the most strange in size. It's something unique. It's something different to what the birds we already have. So yeah. Moving on to number 4, a large New World primate. So far, more specifically South America, because South America is desperately needing animals. Something like a howler monkey, or my personal choice would be the black-handed spider monkey, or just a spider monkey in general. Spider monkeys are very cool creatures, especially when climbing and stuff. They'd be so unique compared to things like the gibbon or the siamang. It would be like a varied version of that. It would honestly be really cool to see that something like that in the game. It would be cool to build for it because I think people like building for climbing animals because they like to make climbing structures and things like that. And spider monkey would be something really cool for that. Either one would do a lot to the game's roster, especially to South America, and just the primates roster in general, and monkeys, because we only have 1 monkey. Actually, technically 2, because I think the proboscis monkey. But we only have one South American monkey in the game, which is astonishingly sad. Anyway, number 3, South American animals in general. I think everyone can agree that South America is probably the least represented in the entire game, with so many missing gaps in the roster, and I know that 1 pack left will not solve this, but if we do get 2 or 3 more animals from South America, it would do at least a little bit better to like boost up South America's rep in the game. You have so many animals from South America that we don't have. South America is basically the most biodiverse continent in the world, and it has probably the least amount of animals in the game, even less than probably Oceania, which is very, very sad. The fact that recently packs or continents have been getting their own packs again. We've had Europe and Asia wrapped in for a second pack. Australia getting a second pack, Africa basically getting a second pack, and the arid pack. And the tropical pack, I would assume, was supposed to be South America, but it's not. And it was like Africa and Asia together. And we still only got 1 South American animal, which was a sloth. There's so many more South American animals. You have the rhea, you have Patagonia mara, ocelot, speckled bear, monkeys. Like we just mentioned the howler monkey, spider monkey, tamarins, saki monkeys. What else do you have? Southern tamanduas, vicunas. There are so many animals, birds, so many different South American species that we don't have. That would go such a long way to add to the game. Especially to boost South American sections, because South America really is lacking in the game, and it's honestly really disappointing to see. Uh, hope fingers crossed that spring will bring us some South American rep. On to number two, we have waterfowl, and this is a recent addition to this list. Like on the one that's more focused, people have been more focused on recently because of single-handedly powerhouse the Swan. But the Swan now coming in, we now have a brand new rig that I'm sure modders are like going all hands for. I personally don't like using mods. I probably will eventually at some point. However, it would be amazing to see official animals like ducks and pelicans now that we have the rig, especially considering they're getting more comfortable with birds. Ducks and pelicans would go such a huge way. Ducks are great for just like in general like lakes and ponds in your zoos. Not well. They could go with a more exotic species of duck for like I can't remember what it's called. It's like a South American species of duck. I think it's like a Muscovy duck. I'll put up a picture of it. If I don't have the name right, or if I do have the name right, you can just see a cool duck. So you can see that, or pelicans, which are my personal favorite. Those are actually my most number one wanted animal in the game right now, alongside the number one slot, which we'll get to in a second. Ducks are more known for like being lakes animals kind of things. Like they're not you wouldn't go to a zoo and see an enclosure for a regular like mallard duck. These are more like the swan, where you can just put them in your ponds and lakes, and they add so much more naturalism to. Is that a word? Naturalism? Who knows? It would add so much more to like the natural scenic areas of your zoo. And then pelicans are the complete 180. Pelicans can be in open areas, but are more commonly found in like enclosures and big netted areas or ponds with enclosures and stuff. Both would go a long way, and and ducks are obviously so known animals. I think pelicans are known meme animals, and ducks are they're ducks. They're ABC animals. They're ducks. You should know what they are on the top of your head. And yeah. Alright, and coming down to the number one slot, what is it going to be? It is the one and only African baboon. So Africa has a lot of species, and I think we all know that. Africa seems to get its rep from people mostly or like to get their excitement because Africa has so many cool animals. You have the secretary bird, you have the Barbary sheep, you have other small cats, you have lots of hoofstock, and even though everybody's not a total fan of hoofstock, you can't admit you do have to admit that Africa probably has the most diverse range of hoofstock out there. However, I think that the one animal from Africa that we are missing desperately, even more than an African land bird, is a baboon. We have the mandrill, we have gorillas, we have chimps, we have all the other big name primates, but we do not have a species of baboon. Baboons are classic animals. They are zoo classics. You would always see in Africa sections. You could have olive baboons, geladas, hamadryas baboons. I think the hamadryas is probably the one that made a wish list. That's probably the most wanted right now. But I could go for any baboon. I just want to see them in the game because they would add so much to African sections, and they would make a huge impact on the roster of the game because it would just make sense to have a baboon in the game to fit along every other African species we have. Yeah, that's my list on what 5 categories of animals, or just animals in general, that are needed or would be the most beneficial to the Planet Zoo roster. Again, we might only have one pack left. I could be wrong. The console edition could mean, well, it's probably definitely console edition. Basically, it's confirmed that it's coming this year for Planet Zoo. That doesn't mean necessarily that support is ending after that. It just doesn't. Going off of Planet Coaster, once they got console edition, their games stopped making DLCs and stuff. So we do have that to go off of. So people are kind of leaning in that direction. But regardless, we do still have one DLC left that is better than nothing. And I'm just hoping that it's something good. But yeah, hopefully the next pack has one of these, at least one of these on my list. For my sake, leave me down below what you think. If you had to choose one animal to get in the game before support ends, what would you choose? I hope you all enjoy, and I will see you all in the next one. And make sure to subscribe. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. It is unbelievably close. See you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.